It's the Dep Lewis Show. The Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. The Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. The Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. Welcome to the Dep Lewis Show, episode 190. This is your host, Dep Lewis, and today is Sunday, July 26, 2026, a great day for a podcast about video games and more. I hope you're doing great out there in the world, wherever and whenever you're listening to this. Thank you for being here. The first order of business is to ask you to follow Dep Lewis Show everywhere. Full episodes of Dep Lewis Show available anywhere you can find a podcast. So find the best place to subscribe and listen weekly. Places like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, YouTube, Amazon Music, and more. YouTube is also a great place to watch me play some games live or check out the videos later. And if you would like to support the show even further than just listening, patreon.com/Dep Lewis Show is available if you'd like to subscribe monthly. Talked about this a little more at length last week, but we are currently at 1 out of 100 for the ground floor tier, which is $1 a month and will never change in price and will always include the same content as any of the higher tiers. And after, that whole spiel last week, I think we did have some more listens to the podcast last week. There was 100 downloads in one day, so I really appreciate it. And, just thank you for listening, or thank you for telling someone that you enjoy the show. And then also Venmo at Dep Lewis Show is available any day, anytime, for any amount if you'd like to support the show. And today's show will have 3 sections as always. The first section, I'll tell you about what video games I've been playing since I've last talked to you on this microphone. The mid-section, which is not mid in quality, it's the middle of the show. That's where I tell you about everything going on around the video game world that you need to know. In the third and final section, the Miscellaneous Talk section, that's a break from all the video game talk, and I like to get into the worldwide world of sports and tell you what's going on with all my favorite teams. And as I'm recording this today, the Braves are currently up on the Baltimore Orioles to close out the weekend series. So I think I will have enough time to see the end of that after recording this podcast. But I have other sports things to catch you up with at the end of the show. There's been some, things going on with a few of my different favorite teams. So some pretty exciting stuff there. But, the main thing about the Dep Lewis Show each week is talking about the video game. So let's get into what's going on with me. What's been going on with me in the past week. So I haven't played a ton of video games in the last week, but I have been playing some more of my favorite game of the year for 2026, and that is Forza Horizon 6. So I've been hooked on this game since it released. I got the gold wristband maybe 2 weeks ago. I think last week I had more of a lull. For last week's episode, I had more of a lull in my playtime, kind of deciding what to do. But this week I've been back into the game, trying to complete some more stuff. And, a little bit unusual for me is trying to, complete things all the way in a video game. So I haven't really been tackling any more of the drifting stuff quite yet. That's the stuff that I feel like eludes me the most. So I've been going around kind of just doing the other things that I feel like I can do so far. So I've been smashing more experience boards. I've been even trying to get some of them that are up on top of the buildings, but it seems like a lot of the ones that I have left are the tricky ones to get. That is probably going to require me doing a little bit of looking up on how to get these, or getting some advice on where to jump from, or seeing a video or something like that. But I'm making more progress through this game, which is extremely fun. And, if I can just figure out how to drift around a little bit, I'll have a lot of missions that I can complete, and that is kind of the best part in this game, is when you do have a lot of stuff to complete. And what else did I do in the past week in this game? I did buy a new car in the game, finally. I've been sitting on like over 5 million in credits, and I bought a Porsche Spider. So the Porsche has been my favorite car in this game. I think it's still the 911 Turbo S from 2023, I think, is my favorite car in this game. I'm still driving that competition BMW X, whatever it is, around as an SUV in this game as well. So I haven't really strayed too far from my favorite cars, but this Spider I purchased is extremely cool. I wanted to get a new car for a race. I had some cars I could use, but I just wanted to try something new. And that one just really, really caught my eye. It's yellow, just like my 911 Turbo S. You can see more of the back engine. It has more of a window into it, so it looks pretty cool. It's a little bit of a longer build in a car, but it has a 10 launch on it. So I'm getting off the starting line really, really quick in my new Porsche Spider. So that's been my new addition. I've been saving those credits up for a while, so it was finally nice to spend some and, not feel, there's cars in there that are over 4 million, or I've seen a lot in the 3 million range. So it was a little bit more on the inexpensive side, but I got something cool to drive around in. So that has really been the main thing that I've been playing. I have been enjoying my entire time with that game. I'm having fun still trying to do some stuff. I've kind of finished up a few of the races this week too that, I didn't have like a first place finish in, and I think I'm at a pretty complete status for the races. I think maybe there's one of like the big events that I didn't get all the way to 3 stars in that I still have to do, and that I've tried again and didn't immediately get it. So there's going to be a little bit of grinding with some of this last stuff. I think like I was saying, if I can figure out how to do drifting in any type of moderate sense, I'll be able to complete a big portion of what's left on the map. But, I'm getting down to the nitty gritty for sure. But I really love this game. It's lived up to all the hype for me. I can see myself continuing to play this. It's the perfect game to play, just while, full attention to it. It's the perfect game to play with a podcast listening. And I really highly recommend Forza Horizon 6. It's an excellent, wonderful, very fun video game. All right, so that's been really the main thing I've been playing in the past week. I have been messing around with some other games, like I always do, dabbling a little bit. I've been trying to play some more handheld stuff this week, and I've been playing a little more Hades 2, trying to play it mainly in handheld, and I guess I've been making a little bit of progress there. I've been kind of skipping some of the overworld stuff that you do in between, after you perish trying to escape. So you go back to I guess it's like a campfire or whatever. You can talk to the characters around there, do some player upgrades, but I've just been really kind of diving back into it, which is probably not smart, but I did a little bit of online research of, what I should try to strive for in this game. And I think, pretty much I want to go for the dual blades or continue with the staff that I have from the beginning. So my take on what I read was like, hey, the staff is probably the best for all around, a little bit of melee and some ranged in there as well. So I guess that's kind of why they start you off with that. And I think a lot of times I do kind of like the assault class or the Ryu from Street Fighter class, kind of the generic one, and then trying to get good amongst like the more simple kind of moderate standard mechanics. But I think the dual blades, from what I can tell, might be really up my arsenal, up my alley with, attacking fast with the melee and then also being quick and using my dash. So those have kind of been the things that I've been leaning towards. And it seems like if you can maybe pick something like consistent of a play style that can really help you get through this game. So I think that was what I was wanting to do with doing a little bit of research over there in Hades. But I really enjoy the combat in this game. It's extremely fun. It is difficult. It requires you to have some finesse amongst only a couple buttons that you really are using. And then the art and style of this game, Lenaway is a really, really cool character. All the characters that you meet and interact with are extremely cool, and the art in the game is beautiful, and the music is like daunting and very thematic and cool. So it's just a really excellent video game and something that I've been playing a little bit more of. And another game that I feel a lot of the same ways about, and is also another really good handheld game, is Metroid Dread. So this is something I picked up when it first came out, made some progress on it, and maybe, kind of chickened out on it like I do with a lot of games. But there's definitely something I really like about this game, from the style to the gameplay to the side-scrolling nature. And, I'm back in it a little bit. So I started a new file, going to try to make some progress in this if I can. I'm going to most likely have to rely on a guide or a walkthrough, was my thinking of how I can get over the early hump of feeling stuck or feeling like I'm getting my what kicked by the Emmys, which are the extra planetary multiform mobile identifiers, which are very, very scary / awesome, and still creates some of the most dread, from the title in a video game that I've ever felt. It's up there with like PUBG, and Metroid Dread is certainly one of feeling like an intense feeling, get your heart pounding and making you have to really focus on what you're doing and making you slip up in the way because you are scared of the enemy coming to attack you, which is like a 99%, has a 99% rate of taking you down. And you're eventually going to get the ability back where you can actually combat them, but I'm sure that's going to be for a while. And I don't know, I just wanted to give another shot at it. I've been on a little bit of a handheld train and trying to think of games that really suit handheld in a good way. I downloaded Super Mario Bros. Wonder, which I've already completed that game, but just in that example of having some games downloaded that are fun to play in handheld, and that's what I've been kind of thinking about in the past week, along with playing Forza Horizon 6. So that's really the majority of what I've been playing. I always have Persona 3 Reload on my mind. I probably played a little bit in the last week, but I did more thinking about it than I did playing it. But that game is still
the game's taking up a lot of my mind space, just in my video game brain, and I really do like that game. So you're definitely going to be hearing about that game more and more. But that's about it for catching up on the games I've been playing. The theme of the Dep Lewis Show for the year is the year of the front log. So I've been focusing on new releases this year instead of worrying about a backlog or trying to deep dive into the beginning of a franchise if I don't want to. And the two current games on my front log for this year, which we're making our way through the year, is Marvel's Wolverine on September 15th, and then Grand Theft Auto 6 on November 19th. There's other games coming out. Marvel Token Fighting Souls I'm getting excited for. Possibly playing or just seeing a lot more content about that. There is an open beta for that going on this weekend, so if you're listening in real time, I believe you should still have some time today to play the Marvel Token Fighting Souls beta on PlayStation 5. It's a free-to-play open beta. I've seen some gameplay from it. It looks extremely cool. I watched the Giant Bomb guys play it on Friday, so if you want to go see a stream of that, they did a portion of their Unprofessional Friday was playing that game, and it looks like it's going to be a top-tier, excellent, really, really cool fighting game out there. So I'm pretty excited for that one as well. But it's the year of the front log, and I have two currently, day one games on there that I'm really excited for. And I'm sure there will be others throughout the year. But that's everything I got going on with me this week for my video gaming. So we're going to take a quick break. We're going to hear some lovely music from friend in real life and friend of the show, Volness, and then come back for the midsection where I tell you everything going on around the video game world that you need to know. Welcome back to the midsection of Dep Lewis Show, episode 190. This is where I tell you about everything going on around the video game world that you need to know. And the first thing I want to tell you about is definitely a game that I've talked about in the last few weeks, but I just want to make sure you're aware this game is available now. And also, this one has been, going up, climbing up the ladder of, me wanting to get this game. I've been seeing more and more content of this, hearing more people's takes, and it's been getting me more intrigued about Splatoon Raiders, which that game is available right now. It's exclusive to Nintendo Switch 2. It's $49.99 USD digital, and then it's $10 more if you want to get a physical copy. So the back of the box talk for Splatoon Raiders is hunt for treasure in a wild adventure. In this single-player focused game, play as a mechanic working with Deep Cut, a trio of swashbuckling musicians, and venture out into the mysterious Spherulite Islands. Customize your character, kit yourself out with mechanical gadgets and ink-splattering weapons, and take on waves of enemy salmonids as you raid the islands for treasure. So I am a huge Splatoon 3 fan, based 99% on the multiplayer. I've barely given the single player a chance, but I have so much fun playing that multiplayer, the mechanics of the game, the music, the style, and all the upgrades for your characters. And just the overall vibe of the game is pretty immaculate. And everything I've been seeing from Splatoon Raiders is the case. So the only really downside for Splatoon Raiders to me is that there's no multiplayer. But I don't know, everything I've kind of seen from the game is looking like something I would maybe want to play. My other thought on this was, hey, maybe this game is designed as more of a co-op adventure, and I really do think that would enhance the game kind of like anything. But this is a single-player focused game. I think you will run around with a bot character if you don't have someone actually to play with. And, it kind of functions more as, I guess, levels that are set up like horde mode almost is kind of the way I take it. So there's different levels through the game. Maybe there's some different objectives, but a lot of times you're just kind of fighting waves of enemies and trying to clear them out is my take on it for the most part. So just really from seeing some people play this on the internet, just from seeing the screen and the way the characters are going and all the customization stuff, there's different crazy costumes that your character can wear and all this customization. I think I just said that already, but all the trappings of Splatoon here are definitely enticing me and are definitely interesting. And I think especially if you have a group of people you like to play co-op games with, I think this might be a perfect game for that. And in general, I think I've heard this take out there, but I agree with it. I think it's just cool that they're doing this. They're doing something in between Splatoon 3 and Splatoon 4, which Splatoon 4 will be a reality at some point. But, it's taking a beloved franchise, taking one of their kind of newer IPs and trying something a little bit different with it. And I think that is a perfect idea. Not everything's going to go to the moon like Fortnite, but I think it's really important to have a nice mix of games in your catalog and on your console. And I think that's something that a lot of consoles and developers and with the time schedules that they use that take forever, I think they're forgetting that in some of these things. And, taking a stab at it sometimes is better than taking, forever to cook something and then, maybe it being disappointing. So I think this is just a really good example of a video game in today's time. And it being the Splatoon franchise and IP, that has been making me think about this game more and more every day, and just something I want to make sure you're aware of is available right now, Splatoon Raiders. All right, another game that is available in the upcoming week for everybody, but I think some people have been playing this if you paid the extra money to get the whatever it is, the Ultimate Edition, where you can play it like 3 days early. You'll be able to play this, but Halo Campaign Evolved releases in the upcoming week, if you're listening real time, on July 28th for Xbox Series, PS5, which is the crazy one in there, Halo coming to PlayStation 5 and Steam. It's $49.99 USDs. The back of the box talk is experience where the legend begins. Halo Campaign Evolved is a faithful yet modernized remake of Halo Combat Evolved's campaign. Experience the story, rebuilt with high definition visuals, updated cinematics, refined controls, plus a brand new 3-mission adventure featuring the Master Chief and Sergeant Johnson. A broader arsenal of weapons, vehicles, enemies, and gameplay, modifying skulls, which is a really fun mechanic in Halo. Optional modifiers that change combat in fun and challenging ways. Add fresh tactics and endless replayability. So, I have a huge nostalgia blast for Halo. The original release of this game was in 2001. This was something that a neighbor told me about when I was a little kid. And I guess I already had the Xbox, maybe just for a short amount of time. Maybe I had Project Gotham Racing in a sports game. But this neighbor told me about this, and on the day that it came out, he drove me and a couple friends or whatever to go pick it up and play this game, and the rest was history kind of on Halo. I don't know how many hours we played, amongst friends playing Halo, but it would have to be the most game I've played multiplayer in my entire life, and just tons of nostalgia for the campaign, for the multiplayer. I'm definitely a little bit intrigued by this remastered version, but I don't feel like an immediate gravity pull to go try it. I don't know why. Maybe just because I've played so much Halo in my life that I'm going to know 97% of this. I think, they say they added 3 new missions in here, which is definitely a really, really smart choice. And, just having all the updated visuals, the cinematics, the controls, added missions in this game, I think it's a great option out there to have for, new fans to Halo and old fans alike, and something that I could see myself playing at some point in the future when maybe I'm in a lull of what to play. But, currently I have so many games to play that I have to be pretty intentional about what I'm going to play or where I'm choosing to even try to focus on. But I think if any of that sounds cool to you, please go play some Halo. It's an amazing video game. The campaigns are fun. They're very replayable. They're fun to play with other people. And then, I don't know how the... I guess it's been a while since Halo multiplayer has been very popular, but it's extremely fun too. There's a high level of a skill you can get up to with playing Halo, and different weapons to have fun with, and you can spec out kind of how you want, and it's just really, really fun game. And please go check out Halo Campaign Evolved in the upcoming week for Xbox Series, PS5, and Steam. All right. I think one of the biggest announcements from the last week is a release date for God of War Laufey. I believe that's how you say it, Laufey, because Faye is the character, Kratos' wife. And this game got announced sort of recently. I think we had a February timeframe before, maybe just like I think they said February original, but now we have the official date for God of War Laufey, and it releases on February 16th, 2027 for PlayStation 5, and will still be in the window where you can get a physical disc for PlayStation. So that's very nice for PlayStation and God of War fans together. So the back of the box talk on this is the next chapter of the legendary God of War franchise. Death was supposed to be the end, but for Laufey, or Faye, warrior and wife to Kratos, a new adventure is just beginning. Awakening unexpectedly in a strange land after her death, Faye discovers the plans she put in place to protect Kratos and Atreus, their son, in her absence, are now at risk. To save the one she loves, Faye must fight through the afterlife of the gods, the every win, where ruthless gods from across mythology vie for power in a land overwhelming with dangerous magic. Harness Faye's speed, control, and relentlessness to overwhelm even the fiercest of foes with decisive, deadly precision. So even thinking through this now, Kratos is a hulking, strong, axe-wielding, God of War, and then you have Faye over here, who's more on the speed, control, precision side of things. And, even thinking it with Hades, that's a little bit more of the style I like to play in video games. So as someone who's never really gotten hooked on a God of War game, that's speaking to me a little bit there. And So this game, God of War Laufey, is going to release on February 16th. So really, not too far away from real time. I think there could be some potential for that to get delayed just because it just got announced recently. I think God of War Ragnarok was maybe 2022, something like that, maybe even 2023. But this could be something they were developing alongside. Allegedly, the next God of War game after Laufey will feature Kratos, so back to Kratos, and will connect directly to the events of this game. So I think that's a pretty cool concept. Give everybody a little break from Kratos, have them, build up missing him for a little bit, and hopefully deliver and refine something pretty cool there. Because I think people in general, God of War 2018, loved it. God of War Ragnarok maybe liked it, but maybe liked it a little bit less. I think for the next Kratos game in the God of War franchise, they would need to, maybe change up or refine the process a little bit. And I guess they're going to be able to have the time to do so with putting this release out. So I think that's a really cool thing, something I'm interested in, and we can all play this game next year early on February 16th. God of War Laufey. All right, another pretty much classic video game at this time. This game came out in 2015, but that's The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. And the news here is the Songs of the Past expansion is going to be revealed officially at Gamescom, which is August 25th. So just under a month away from Gamescom. So I will be covering all the news and whatever breaks from that on the show that week. So that's always fun to have the big news conferences and things like that. But the Songs of the Past expansion for The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, this brand new expansion will take you to the path with Geralt of Rivia once more. It's being co-developed with Fool's Theory, and it's coming to PC, Xbox Series, and PlayStation 5 in 2007. So CD Projekt Red is developing this one, co-developing with Fool's Theory. I think that's pretty interesting, and I think is very smart. I think a lot of these smaller studios that are helping with remasters, that are helping with DLC, I think they're a very vital part of the video game industry. And sometimes it's been inexplicable recently when some of these big companies have laid off these type of development teams, because it seems like they're so crucial and everybody's going back into the well on these remasters, and teaming with or handing off your IP to these developers can really help you make some money. And that is what this is all about out there when they're developing these games ultimately. All right, but The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt Songs of the Past expansion, we will be getting some more information for sure in just under a month at August 25th at Gamescom. All right, Dragon Ball Sparking Zero is a really cool video game. I've never tried it myself. I played some of the Budokai games back in the day, but I don't know why I've never jumped into this one. But everything from this game looks extremely cool. And the news here for Dragon Ball Sparking Zero is there is a new DLC announcement. It's called the Super Limit Breaking Neo DLC. It's going to take off on July 30th. So that's in the upcoming week. And with this new DLC, there's going to be a new solo mode, classic characters are added, and more. So this game launched in 2024 with more than 180 characters. So, some choice paralysis there possibly with the characters, and currently has over 200 playable characters in the game. This takes the legendary gameplay of the Budokai Tenkaichi series and raises it to whole new levels. Make yours the destructive power of the strongest fighters ever to appear in Dragon Ball. So in this, choosing your favorite character to train is an exciting element in Limit Breaker Journey, and believe it or not, the Super Limit Breaking Neo DLC offers around 30 new playable characters. Many characters have been revealed, but fans can enjoy a sneak peek of the Ultimate Blast, a Mercenary Tao, and Grandpa Gohan. So I guess more to be revealed there, and if you want to see the list of characters, it looks like possibly some of that is out there right now. But we will find out for sure in the upcoming week when the DLC releases for Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. It's called the Super Limit Breaking Neo DLC. So that game looks really cool. That game's actually on Switch too. And that's just one of those games I'd like to play in the future at some point. And they're adding new things to it. So that's going to be one of those whenever I do get to it and try to play some of it, there's going to be a lot more content. And that's sometimes a cool option as well. All right, this next game, I mentioned in the last couple of weeks, but I want to keep this on your radar, and that's Fields of Mistria. And the big news here with Fields of Mistria is 1.0 is launching on August 5th, 2026. So that is not in the upcoming week, but the one after. But now if you want to get some information on the 1.0 update, there is an FAQ release, so you can go check it out to answer all your questions about Fields of Mistria. But Fields of Mistria has been in early access on Steam since August 2024, so it's coming up on the 2-year anniversary of that, and they're looking to go 1.0, which is very exciting. In Fields of Mistria, you start your new life, build the farm of your dreams as you discover a world brimming with possibilities. Magic, romance, and adventure all await you in this nostalgic farming life sim RPG. I always like to highlight this because the great Sarah Pods is the social media and marketing manager over there for NPC Studio, which is the developer and publisher for Fields of Mistria. So please go support Sarah Pods. She's a really great follow all across the internet on Twitch. She does the Pew Pew Bang podcast over there on MinMax. She's on the MinMax show and MinMax content as well. And then she's over there working her social media and marketing manager job for Fields of Mistria. So please go check that out. I know people love their farm games, and I think Fields of Mistria is a great iteration, unique in its own ways, but is going to have a lot of those same trappings and hooks that people really like about the farming game. So please go check it out. All right. So that's all kind of the updates on games I wanted to tell you about from the past week and things that I think are really cool for the upcoming week. So let's get into some Xbox news. We've been talking a lot about Xbox and their decisions and their strategy, and we got some more of it today, along with some corporate quotes, which are some of my favorite things to talk about on this show. This first one we're going to get into is probably not a surprise to anybody, but it's just a wild thing to see. I don't know how people are going to feel about this. This is one of those things that you can think of like, hey, in the future, this is going to be so commonplace. People won't blink an eye to it, but it just seems like such a wild thing. It seems like such weird timing to be bringing this out. But my only take on this, or my real take on this, is that the option is nice. I haven't even told you about what it is yet, but the option to have this is nice. I think the worrisome part is having the focus be on this more so than the opposite. All right, so let's get into it. So Xbox, and you want to make sure Xbox is all capital. They did that big change recently, bringing it back to the gamers, and the gamers, they want capitalized acronyms. That's the main thing that the gamers want out here. So Xbox, all capitals, has an ad-supported game streaming feature that they're bringing out, option that they're bringing out. So they are unveiling some ad-supported game streaming. So just what you want, more advertisements in your games. So here's some of the quotes here. This is just from Team Xbox. They didn't really even put a name on this one, but here's some of the language from the update from Xbox about the ad-supported game streaming. All right, today we're starting to test an ad-supported way to stream select games from your library for a limited time, available on Xbox Insiders. During this test period, Xbox Insiders with an Xbox account will be able to stream games they own for free with ads. Players will have 1-hour session limits across supported devices and regions. So here's what you can expect. Ads will play before the sessions begin. The core experience is unchanged. This is optional. Players can choose other ways to play at any time. So even reading that again, and I've been, hearing about this during the week and thinking about it, it still was immediately confusing to me. Like, why would anybody do this? Why are you going to choose to play games in your library with ads on them? But it's the streaming portion. So I guess you're able to play. It would be like there's a category of games that you own digitally that you're not able to stream. But this is going to open up the functionality of you to stream it to your phone or your laptop or whatever it may be, outside of being in the proximity of your physical box of your Xbox. That's kind of my take on this. And I guess that's a new feature. I think that's a very niche feature of things that people would actually want to use. But like they're saying in here, they're testing this. So this is, they're taking a shot at here of some future tech here. So continuing with their quote here. For many players, the device they already own now allows them to stream games with Xbox. Cloud can also help Xbox One owners. So I guess they're saying in that first portion, you have the option to stream games if you don't want to download them to your console. I guess that's one of the benefits there too, with the storage size for some of these games being over 100 gigabytes and things like that. The streaming can allow you to try some games a little more carefree, and not having to download or choose which to install. I think that's possibly one of the nicer features of it. I still think the streaming, everything I've seen, is an inferior experience to having the actual option of playing the game. I think there's enough actual options to play a game natively that you don't really need to stream at this point. But I don't think it's crazy to be trying to think of some future technology that might be useful, but I think the thing I think about is, hey, they could be spending their time elsewhere instead of focusing on this, which I think is probably a really niche thing that people would use. But they say for many players, the device they already own now allows them to stream games with Xbox. Cloud can also help Xbox One owners play newer games built for Xbox Series X and S without needing to purchase new hardware right away. So I think this is really smart messaging and a good thing to focus on here too, because console prices are going up. We used to see console prices go down after they released. This whole generation, everyone's been raising their prices for all the different reasons outside of their control, environmental issues, whatever it may be. The things that ever-changing landscape out there in the world. But they say, hey, this can help Xbox One owners play newer games in a streaming fashion, which, hey, that's an option. That can be especially meaningful in places, that's what they're saying, where consoles are harder to find or less affordable, which, they haven't helped the affordability portion of that equation, giving more players another way to access great games on devices they already have. So I think that is very true, and I think that is a smart thing to focus on. Some of the features of why this actually could be useful. I think it's just more of a niche thing than they are trying to probably hope it will be. And then, as always, they never can let a corporate quote go without having to put their foot in their mouth or sound a little bit silly. And here's the last little quote from this update on the Xbox ad-supported game streaming, that they have to, they should have just left this out, but they say advertising has existed in gaming for decades. This is like the kind of the patronizing talk to you of saying, oh, well, we're not doing anything too crazy here. This has been going on, this is like the trying to appeal to like be nice or whatever. Advertising has existed in gaming for decades, from in-game placement to free-to-play models, but it hasn't always been built with the player in mind. So I'm sure that's exactly the first thing on their whiteboard of why they want to do ad-supported games, is trying to think of the player. It's like, quit lying. That's the last thing that you're trying to do. You're trying to find a way to monetize things more than you already have and trying to find creative new ways to do it. It's like quit, bullshitting there with the building an ad-supported system for the player in mind. Like, hey, it is a nice option in there, but ultimately nobody's going to want ads. It's going to be a nuisance, and that's just really the truth. So when done well, advertising can help lower the cost of access, which, you control the cost of access as the company of offering picking the price for your product. It creates another way for players to get into games without an upfront streaming purchase, and expands audiences through new ways to play, which I think that is a good feature. For brands, this only works if showing up here adds to the experience, not takes away from it. And I get the whole thing of the ads are, how they make their money and how they're funding or running the house and all that kind of stuff, but there's no way where an ad experience is something that a person wants. It's either you're going to put up with it or you're going to pay for it, and they are hoping that you will go to the pay for it side. So there's nothing friendly about this in here. So it's just kind of crazy to be bringing this out here at this point in time. They're going to announce some other news like they'd like to do, to try to, I guess, confuse the market or, sway the opinions back and forth. But I think they're really running a losing game over here in the Xbox PR department. And another little bit of an example here of, I guess this one's a minor criticism. I think it's just kind of a weird time to be highlighting this, especially with all the news of Sony removing physical discs and everyone expecting Xbox to do the same thing. I think you can't just change your business strategy on a dime, but I think you can probably be a little bit smarter about some of these things. All right, some more Xbox announcements. These are a little more positive just in the terms of options, but they are unveiling some more backwards compatibility on PC. So we're going to get some quotes from Jason Ronald. He's a vice president of Next Generation for Xbox, all capital Xbox, don't forget. And his quote is going to say, today we're introducing Xbox backward compatibility on PC, making it easier to play classic Xbox games from the past across PC and handhelds, including the ROG Xbox Ally and Xbox Ally X. Your library is more than just a collection of games. It's your personal history of epic stories and treasured memories from the past. And as players, we don't want to leave our gaming legacy behind even as technology continues to evolve and advance. We expect our library of games to move forward with us and be able to play them in entirely new ways. So rolling out today, Xbox backward compatibility on PC launches in early release, starting with 4 classic original Xbox games, now playable on PC and handhelds for the first time ever. This marks the beginning of a broader effort to preserve Xbox games from the past and bring them to PC over time. And we are not just enabling you to play them on PC, we are also adding new features to make your gaming experiences better than ever. So the games that they're adding right away, rediscover a selection of iconic original Xbox games now on PC and handheld. They're adding Blinks, the Time Sweeper. That's a early on game from the Xbox, OG Xbox. That's very memorable to me. I don't know if I would say it was a good game, but I had fun playing with it. It had a cool mascot character, and was definitely something that was like an easy sell to me as a young person with an Xbox. Fusion Frenzy, I think everybody probably played the demo of Fusion Frenzy and had some fun there, but I don't know how many people love the full version of Fusion Frenzy outside of nostalgia. Crimson Skies, High Road to Revenge, and Conquer Live and Reloaded are the first 4 games being added to this. So they say we plan to add even more features to Xbox backward compatibility games in the future. I'm excited to share that later this year we will be bringing one of the top fan-requested features to select original Xbox games on both console and PC, and that's achievements. So that is something very synonymous with Xbox, and I think it's a nice option. I think a lot of people on Steam like to do retro achievements. I think that's a really popular thing nowadays, and this is them realizing that and wanting to put some of the similar functionality over there on the Xbox side of things. The first 4 games releasing that I just mentioned will be updated to include achievements in the coming months, is what they say. So that one's a cool option. I think everyone's worry with the digital future is that they can take the games away at any time. We've seen this happen before. We've seen it happen with movies. We've seen it happen with games. So there is an ownership aspect there, which rubs a lot of people the wrong way. So I think it's nice to be hearing these things, but we've seen the opposite side of this too many times, and that's just kind of the reality of going forward. We're not really going to own these games, and we're either going to have to get more comfortable with that, or really just kind of cherish the physical games we do have, and I guess that's kind of the option we have out there for real. But Xbox, trying their best out there to do some things. I don't think that they have been doing a good job ever since their Xbox showcase. I think they've actually kind of actively been burning down any of the goodwill that they've had, and I don't think they've been able to capitalize on any of the bad PlayStation press, and I think that is pretty sad over there, and I think just kind of speaks to more of the overall standing and health of the Xbox business currently. That's my take on it. All right, so that's all the Xbox news for you. And the last little bit of news I wanted to bring to you this week. I don't know how important this is. I think companies probably do this kind of stuff all the time. But in the past week, it was reported that PlayStation has filed a new controller patent. And this one showcases a controller with no physical buttons. The controller would feature digital buttons to let users pick which buttons are located where. So, I think this is just kind of funny. Everyone is up in arms still, and I think rightfully so, about them ending physical disc production in January 2028. And now they're trying to give us controllers with no buttons. It's like, how are they trying to take everything away from the video gamers? My stupid joke immediately was upon this. Are they going to tell us to close our eyes and imagine the video game we're playing too with this controller with no buttons? And then they're going to charge us a subscription fee per month or whatever it may be. If you want all the buttons on the thing, you got to get the premium edition. And it's like, how watered down and how many features can they put behind a paywall before people are going to stop putting up with it? And I think they're slamming up against that wall here already. I think a lot of these I think Xbox and PlayStation are doing this, and I think it's a very worrisome thing to watch. And I don't know how serious this controller with no buttons thing is, but I think another good, maybe you file that patent another time. How important is it for you to file that patent currently with all the really, really negative press you have going on out there in the world? So just funny to see some of this corporate strategy playing out in real time, and fun to think about, but sad to see the state of things with some of these companies going on right now. So that's everything I got for you for the midsection of the show this week. That's all the video game news I could think to bring to you. We talked about Splatoon Raiders. We talked about Halo Campaign Evolved. We talked about God of War Laufey, The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt Songs of the Past, Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, Fields of Mistria. We talked about the Xbox ad-supported game streaming. We talked about Xbox backwards compatibility on PC. And we talked about the new PlayStation controller patent. So that's everything I got for you for the video game, for all the video game thoughts this week. But there's still one final section of the show left to go. That's the Miscellaneous Talk section, where I can talk about anything I want to outside the video game world. And let's get into it after this music. Welcome back to the final section of Dep Lewis Show, episode 190. This is the Miscellaneous Talk section, where I can talk about anything I want to outside of the video game world. So as always, I want to get into the worldwide world of sports and tell you what's going on with all my favorite teams. And starting off with the NFL and the Carolina Panthers, their news, the report there is that training camp has begun. So the season, is fastly and quickly and not so quietly approaching. Fan Fest is actually this Friday, July 31st, which is always a fun time. I think it's just $5 to get in. You can watch practice. They end with a little bit of scrimmage. They're playing music. It's just a fun time to see the guys out there on the field. But also with training camp comes bad news. And Nick Scorton, the linebacker, it's his second year, went down in practice last week and suffered a torn ACL. So T's and P's to Nick Scorton and his family and friends and just the team in general. He's done for the season. So very sad there. He was an exciting rookie last year, looking to play more of a prominent role this season, but he's going to have to take the unfortunate route of missing a season early in his career and hopefully coming back next season better than ever. So, T's and P's out there to Nick Scorton, and hopefully no more serious injuries in camp. But that's just, that's kind of how it goes out there in training camp, and just one of the unfortunate sides of playing a tough sport like football. Another just kind of general Carolina Panthers update. They announced some Bank of America Stadium renovations. I believe they announced in this that it would be keeping I don't know if the naming rights were extended, but I guess it's still going to be called the Bank of America Stadium. And then Tepper Sports is upping its investment in the Bank of America Stadium renovation project and revealed what the stadium will look like by 2030. So you can go see some mock-ups of the new and improved Bank of America Stadium. That's going to be, or the construction and renovation is going to be taking place over the next couple years. So Tepper Sports announced it's increasing its private investment to $650 million, matching the city's contribution and bringing the total cost to approximately $1.3 billion. Charlotte will not increase its previously agreed upon dollar commitment, and David Tepper certainly has the funds to contribute whatever the heck he wants to. So that's very nice there. I think Bank of America Stadium is a very cool stadium just in general. It maybe lacks a little bit some of the modern touches of some of the more new stadiums, but I think it does a good job currently of just being a nice setup and having the functionality that you need. And if they can make some improvements on the periphery, I guess is what you would say, I think, that could really make a big difference. And I think that's what they're doing here. But the Carolina Panthers, they're in training camp. They are going to kick off the preseason. The very first game of the preseason will be the Panthers at the Cardinals in the Tom Benson Hall of Fame game in Canton, Ohio. That one's taking place on Thursday, August 6th. So really, that's not the upcoming week, but it's the one after, I believe. And I can't wait for it. And then moving on to the NBA, I'm a halfway fan of the Charlotte Hornets, which is hard because they traded LaMelo Ball in the offseason, but it's currently the offseason, nothing to report there. And then my favorite NBA team, who I've been mad at since the trade deadline last year when they traded Trae Young. I think I say that every week, but I'm still pretty salty about that. And in the past week, can you believe what the Hawks have done? They've made another trade that it doesn't make sense to me. They trade for Lou Dort from the Oklahoma City Thunder. This is a 3-team deal that sends 3 second-round picks to OKC. The former number 1 pick, Zachary Richeche, goes to the Dallas Mavericks, and Ryan Nembhard comes to Atlanta. So they're basically getting off of Richeche, who was the number 1 pick in the draft 2 years ago. So another boneheaded move by the Hawks front office. It's like they really cannot do anything correct. And even drafting this guy, they can't even give him enough time to get a feel with the squad. They've blown the squad up since he got here. It's like, why not keep the young asset on your team and let him grow with some of the other young players that you have on your squad? There's no way they are going to be competing for anything in the upcoming season. Anyone out there telling you that the Hawks roster is like, oh, look at this top 5 is really going to be, making some noise in the East this year. No, they are not. I can guarantee they are not, just because they have shown no signs over the last few years, or even the last 5 years, of really being able to have any kind of solid direction of any kind. It's really one thing one day, another thing the next day, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, snip, snap, if you're listening from The Office and Michael Scott with that little joke. But they really cannot make a good decision to save their life. This has nothing to do with Lou Dort, but he just certainly doesn't help the what the Hawks need right now, where they have blown their squad up and just have a really, really young team going on. And they got rid of one of their young, unproven pieces in Zachary Richeche. So, I'm sorry that they lost him, but, maybe good thing for Richeche getting out from the Hawks franchise, which has been super sad for a long time. So, just boo on you, the Hawks. I don't think I've had any positive Hawks news for a long time. Jalen Johnson is kind of the one positive thing going on right now, and they are giving him a wild squad to go out there and compete with. So I hope that he can stay healthy, and hope that his back doesn't get injured from carrying the Hawks into trying to get into the play-in next year. So just sad stuff over there for the Hawks. And, that's just going to continue, I guess. All right. And then then LeBron James signed with the Philadelphia 76ers in the last week. So that was a pretty big deal. He signed a allegedly two-year, $8 million contract. So LeBron getting paid as some of the least guys on the squad, which is pretty wild to see. But him going to Philly to team up with Maxey and Embiid and VJ and Jaylen Brown, which is the new addition, makes them a very formidable squad for real. And going to be very, very fun to watch that. So pretty cool to see that decision be made. And that was definitely the biggest news of the NBA headlines in the past week. But then moving over to my favorite sport, Major League Baseball, and my favorite team in the University Atlanta Braves. They are currently playing right now against the Baltimore Orioles. They have split that series this weekend so far, but I should be able to catch the end of it after recording this podcast in just a bit. But since last week, the Braves their opening series to start the second half of the season was with the Rangers, and to close out last Sunday, the Braves won 8-5 to win that series versus the Rangers to start the season. And then Monday, the Braves were at San Diego. The Braves won 3-2. Tuesday, the Braves lost 3-8 versus San Diego, and then Wednesday, the Braves won that little 3-game series, winning the rubber match 7-6 against San Diego. And then they had Thursday versus San Diego, and they really, really won 6-5. So the Braves, they TCB, took care of business against the Padres to start the early half of the week. And then this weekend series has been at Baltimore. The Braves won Friday night 7-6 in 10 innings. Last night, the Braves lost 2-3. And currently the Braves are up, I think it was 2-0 early, but there's no telling what is happening right now. Besides that, I'm sure the Braves are winning because that's all they really want to do. And that's what I need them to do today. For me. So go Braves out there. Next week, they're going to be playing at the Mets 3 to start the week, and then versus the Nats in Atlanta to close out the week. So a complete week of NL East divisional games, which is very nice and very important. And they're playing the two worst teams in the division. So hopefully the Braves can get at least 5 wins would be nice. I think 4 is probably the realistic goal, but I think 5 would be a very nice thing. Possibly sweeping the Mets, getting the brooms out would always be nice against those stinking Mets. So that's everything going on with the Braves this week. I think Ronnie's back in minor league doing some rehab. I think maybe he might have tweaked something in rehab again. So I just hope the Braves are really taking their time with Ronnie. Have him come back in DH when he can and really don't pressure him because the Braves are doing good right now. They're rolling. They are first in the NL East, I think just barely still, but there's no reason to rush back Ronnie, who has had a history of being injured or having some injuries. And if you can, maintain and keep him healthy for the playoffs, I think that would be the most important thing. And hopefully that is what they are doing. So that's everything I got for you for the Braves. And I think that's everything I got for you for the sports talk and this section in general. So we talked about all my favorite teams. We talked about the Carolina Panthers. We talked about the Charlotte Hornets. We talked about the Atlanta Hawks and the Atlanta Braves. And that's going to wrap up this section and wrap up the entire show. So I'd like to reiterate some promotional talk from the beginning. Please follow Dep Lewis Show everywhere. Full episodes of Dep Lewis Show available anywhere you can find a podcast. So find the best place to subscribe and listen weekly. Places like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, YouTube, Amazon Music, and more. YouTube is also a great place to watch replays and games live or check out the videos later. If you would like to support the show even further than just listening, patreon.com/Dep Lewis Show is available if you'd like to subscribe monthly. Currently, we are at 1 out of 100 for the ground floor tier, which is $1 a month USD, and will never change in price and will always include the same content as any of the higher tiers. Also, Venmo at Dep Lewis Show is available any day, anytime for any amount if you would like to support the show. And either way, I thank you for listening. I hope you're going to have a wonderful week out there in the world. If things are going your way, I hope that continues. If things are not going your way, I hope that changes. I'm sure in the upcoming week, I'm going to be playing some more Forza Horizon 6. I don't know what other games I'll be playing in there because last week was a little bit of a mix and mash of some games, but I've been enjoying doing some handheld stuff, so maybe I'll be making some more Hades 2 progress or possibly some Metroid Dread progress. I'm going to enjoy watching the Braves play the Mets and hopefully get the brooms out there and kind of get ready for football season, I guess, over here is another nice thing. It was nice to have some more sports stuff to talk about on the show. It's been a little bit of a one-track mind on the sports season right now with just the Major League Baseball going on. But, we have other stuff on the horizon. And I'm sure there will be some, crazy Xbox news in the upcoming week as always. But either way, I'll be back next week to tell you everything going on around the video game world and more. And I can't wait. And I hope you just come back and join me again. And I will talk to you next time. Goodbye.